Hi, and welcome back to Mojo Quick Bites. Today, we're going to be taking a look at book covers and genre standards, how to put your best foot or cover forward. So let's dive in. So, question, what is the purpose of your book cover? Obviously, you can see on the screen there, it's marketing. The sole purpose of your book cover boils down to one thing, and that is marketing. It is the first impression your book gets to make on a prospective new reader. So, and that is where a lot of indie authors, especially early on in their careers, kind of get hung up a little bit. This was a huge problem of mine when I was first getting started because for me, the book cover was, for me. And it had to portray my story. I was putting so much pressure on my book cover and completely missing the actual point of what its purpose was. So keep this in mind as you're thinking about your book covers going forward, whether you're doing themselves, whether you're outsourcing them, hiring them to be custom built, or even buying pre-mades. So there's some common missteps with indie author book covers. And there's really four big ones that we run across a lot. One is not meeting reader expectations. Your readers expect to see a certain type of book cover in specific genres. Not conforming, there's that word, conforming, to genre standards. Not investing in the best possible cover. And this one is going to sound a little strange and be a little surprising to some people, but not testing your cover before releasing it out into the wilds. So let's take a look at these four a little bit more in depth here. So not meeting your reader expectations. Something to keep in mind is your book cover is for your reader. It's not for you. Okay, it's a marketing tool to introduce your work to your reader and to hopefully get them to buy. They should be able to tell at a glance, at a rather small glance, because of the thumbnail size version, if it's something that they may be interested in. But your cover does not need to tell the whole story, or even match precisely to the story picture that you have in your head. Because remember, it's a marketing tool. It's not your story. It's just a little glimpse, a little window into what your story could be. That's it. Now, another misstep is not conforming to genre standards. Now, conforming, that word has a little bit of a bad rap, and we'll touch on that. But genre standards pretty much go hand in hand with reader expectations. Okay, these are very, very closely tied together. And genre standards change over time. Just like me still waiting for the 1980s to come back into style. Please come back into style. The styles of book cover standards morph and change over time the exact same way. Now, conforming in this sense is not a giving in or a relinquishing of your creative license. Remember, this is a marketing tool, okay? Your heart and art is in the story, not in the cover. So keep that in mind. Now, not investing in the best possible cover. And this one gets a little bit twitchy, to be honest, because book covers can be expensive. And rightly so. There's some very, very talented, extremely talented cover artists out there. Now, think about for a moment how much money a company like Ford or even Budweiser spends on their marketing tools. Do you think, even for a moment, that they would skimp and not put their all into, for example, their Super Bowl advertisement? Of course not. They're going all out for that. Your cover is a marketing tool to entice and introduce your work to prospective new readers. So you want to make sure you're putting the best possible marketing you can out into the world. And whether that's DIY or hiring a professional, it still needs to be the best you can put out for, what you're able to do at that time. Now, here's the one that really everybody kind of goes, not testing your covers before releasing it out into the wilds. Most people are like, well, shouldn't the designer be testing the cover before giving it to me? Yes, but at the end of the day, the products that you put out into the world with your name on them are your responsibility. The buck stops with you, as the saying goes. And keep in mind, your cover may be absolutely stunning. It could be gorgeous. But for example, if the font is almost impossible to read once it's in the small thumbnail size version on Amazon or other retailers, that is a huge misstep. Huge misstep. You need to make sure it's pretty much, within reason, just as clear, and you're able to see it with just as much clarity in that small version as you can in the bigger size on your computer screen when you're looking at the file that's given to you, either that you've already made yourself or that's coming from your designer. But what if I can afford is a DIY cover? I hear you. I did, in fact, I still do a lot of my own covers. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with doing a DIY cover. Doing, your book covers yourself tends to get a really bad rep in the indie author community. And I can understand it because some people just, there's a lot involved in making a cover. And you need to try to put forth the best possible cover you can, because it is about marketing and it is portraying, your story, your work, and you directly. So, and it's kind of a no-brainer, but simply put, make it the best possible DIY cover you can manage. You can use tools such as canva.com if you're extremely uncomfortable with tech and graphic editing programs. And there's even some pretty good pre-built ones on there that you can start with. Plus, there's free ones that you can use from there as well. Now, the other thing to keep in mind is pre-made covers are generally much less expensive than custom-built covers. So, I've seen in some groups pre-made covers that are from like newer cover artists that are just really starting to get into the field, into the industry, I've seen them go as low as, $25 to $50. So there's something to keep in mind there. It's definitely worth taking a look. Plus, there are hundreds, maybe thousands, of tutorials and walkthrough videos on the interwebs out there teaching you how to do graphics work, and completely free software programs such as GIMP, which is an open source, basically replacement for Photoshop. So do your research before you start building your own book cover. So if you're going to go DIY, make sure to do the research. Go out on Amazon, look at the top bestsellers in your genre. Pay attention closely to the indie author ones, not the traditionally published authors. Look at the indie authors that are the top bestsellers in your genre, and look at the trends. See what's currently standard in your genre. And then you can get a better idea of what you need to maybe be trying to work on and achieve with your own book covers. So here's the thing to keep in mind. It's important, very, very important, but it's not the end of the world, okay? Remember this. The most brilliant book cover in the world cannot hide a terribly written book. It just can't. They might get a few sales based off of that cover, but they're going to get terrible reviews because if the book's terribly written, edited, and just overall, junk, it's not going to hold up. It's not going to last. Also, you are not ball and chain tied to your book cover. As the incredible Maya Angelou once said, do the best you can until you know better. Then when you know better, do better. The same holds true for book covers. Have the best possible cover you can now. You can always upgrade your covers later. That's part of the brilliance of indie publishing. Okay. My book covers for my very first books, I did all those myself because that's all I could do. I couldn't afford, I was just getting started as an indie author. I couldn't afford expensive covers. I knew they were okay, but I knew they weren't great. And I've replaced them twice since then. Once because they needed to be upgraded, and again because they weren't really conforming to the standards of the genre. So that's something to keep in mind. Now, this has been a quick overview on how to make sure you're putting your best cover foot forward on your book covers. Okay, there's a lot more we can go into on this, and we are going to be seeing some more tutorials coming in this category on different ways you can do some DIY book cover work. So until our next Mojo Quick Bites, happy authoring, and don't forget to do your book cover research if you're going DIY. Take care. Bye.